Hi, I'm Sheila Bravo, President and CEO of DANA, and I am super thrilled to introduce the DANA Nonprofit Accelerator. This new program will help to empower Delaware nonprofits to help scale their impact in the communities that they serve. I want to, though, before we get into the program, give a special thank you to those who helped us plan and shape this program. We had an advisory council comprised of nonprofit leaders, foundation, and professional service firm leaders who helped us define the elements of the program. And then we got some additional feedback through focus groups, nonprofit and board members who helped us really fine-tune things so that what you see here today is an amazing program. The funding for this program comes in part from the Small Business Administration. We are so grateful to our federal delegation, Senator Carper, Senator Coons, and Representative Blunt Rochester, who helped champion the funding from the SBA to help support this program. We're also grateful to our partner, the Delaware Community Foundation, who believes in this concept and were instrumental in helping to fund the planning of this program. Now, I am so excited to introduce to you one of DANA's newest team members, Jen Cooper, Program Director. She is serving as the navigator for the Accelerator. And Jen, I'd love for you to give some details about the program.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Really appreciate that introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Cooper, and I am the Program Navigator for Accelerator. And we're going to go on a journey together where we learn about the DANA Nonprofit Accelerator Program. This brand new small cohorts 3-year program for nonprofit organizations for Delaware nonprofits. It's fully customizable based off of your organization's needs and the cohort needs and the goals that your organizations develop. It is a bank of organizational and technical support hours, and it even includes executive coaching. There's an executive director, peer-to-peer learning cohorts, and a dedicated program navigator for personalized supports. And finally, access to DANA workshops and on-demand courses. Are you Accelerator ready? The first cohort is going to be 6 to 8 organizations. So let's find out if your organization will fall within that. Does your organization serve populations who experience discrimination or exclusion? Make a positive difference in the community? Have an incorporation date after January 1st, before January 1st, 2020, January 1st, 2020. Have a full-time executive director. Do you have an annual operating budget below $3 million? Have a board of directors committed to the DANA Nonprofit Accelerator Program? And have an executive director who can commit up to 10 hours per month for the Accelerator Program. If that's you, great. Let's continue on. For those of you who might not fit into this box at this moment, stay tuned. We have future cohorts and other opportunities from DANA for you. So 3 years. Why 3 years? What to expect? We know that executive directors and board chairs of nonprofits, you're busy people. Putting out fires, you're doing it all. And instead of cramming in all the goals and sustainability and practice and assessment into 1 year, we wanted to pace it so it didn't seem overwhelming. So the 3 years was very intentional to ensure that each organization had the opportunity to grow and meet their goals. The first part of our accelerator program is the peer-to-peer cohort. We know that being an executive director of a nonprofit is a lonely job. And this is specifically designed to meet every other month with just other executive directors, where the topics are introduced and driven by the cohorts. And we explore and meet the challenges that you are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. We have a Slack channel to build community. And again, this will be in every other month. So I'm not gonna lie, I do love alliteration. So what are some additional awesome aspects of the Accelerator Program? As I mentioned earlier, you have access to the general training workshops. DANA has live trainings, we have webinars, you can access them all as part of the accelerator program. You also get me. I'm the liaison between your organization and all our partners that you'll be working with, our consultants, and other vendors that might be helping support your organization. I help maintain your pathways and track hours, and I'm the backup person for all the documents. And really, maybe what makes this program the most special is the technical and operation support hours. Technical assistance, you can give us a call about 5 hours a month, where it's a phone a friend. You say, hey, I need a template for this, or I have an organizational strategy that I really want to pick someone's brain. That's a technical assistance hours, and you get 5 per month. Operational support and consulting, that is a much larger bank that we're going to be talking about very soon. But these are hours that that you can use for larger projects, maybe strategic planning, and they're available at the beginning of the year. So these are just some of the additional awesome aspects of the accelerator program. So year one, what does this look like? We will be doing the accelerator orientation cohort welcome number 1, January 24. It's going to be in person in a central location. We recognize that we're going to be serving organizations across the state of Delaware. So our classes and the cohort is meant to be very flexible. We'll do some in person, and we'll do some hybrid, and we might do some virtual, and we'll do some virtual, but it's really based off of the cohort's desires and needs. You will also receive 3 cohort workshops in the first year. We're going to go over fundraising, governance, financial management, all of the foundation for capacity building. As I mentioned earlier, with the peer learning cohort, you get 5 of those per year. Sessions will be a mix of hybrid, in person, or virtual. And then again, the content, hours, length, completely determined by the cohorts. And operational technical assistance hours, and then finally access to DANA's public education events, which are available for board members, executive directors, and organizational staff. Sheila, would you like to take everyone on the journey about our 2 pathways, the catalyst and the booster?
I'd be happy to. As we've worked with nonprofits over the years, organizations are at different stages of development, and we recognize that as organizations who want to participate may be at different levels. And so we've created these 2 pathways, the catalyst and the booster. The catalyst pathway would be for organizations that are small, high impact, but may not yet have the infrastructure inside the organization to really scale up and to meet the demand that they see in their community. Consequently, this pathway would provide resources that could include back office support, such as accounting or perhaps some IT support. And consequently, it would have more hours available that they can source to help with the support in the program. The first 2 years of the program would be more hours than the last year, because we're hoping that by year 3, the organization has been able to scale up a bit, and they can then source the resources themselves. The booster pathway, here, these organizations may have some systems in place, but boy, they could really like to see how they could optimize them, perhaps enhance them. And so they're still getting support. It could be on board service or, again, financial management, but they may not need as many hours to tap for this pathway. And so there would be 200 hours that they could access for support. And then again, the last year would be fewer hours, mainly again, because we're hoping that as we move out of the accelerator, you're ready to go and you really don't need our help anymore. So Jen, if you wouldn't mind scrolling it, I can talk a little bit about the investment. I mentioned earlier that we are grateful for the SBA and their funding, but they're not covering the full cost. They're covering 90%, which is not too bad. But we do feel it's important that organizations who are participating in this program are making an investment. And we were able to cover 90% of the costs with this grant. And so participating nonprofits will pay about 10% of the costs. And we fixed it at the same rate for year 1 and year 2, and then again, slightly less because of the fact that you'll be consuming fewer hours of our consultants. We do recognize that cash flow is always a concern, and so we are happy to work on a payment schedule. And one of the things I like to point out is when we look at the number of hours plus the workshops, the peer learning, and the cohort trainings, we're talking about services that if you had to go buy them or pay for them individually, it would be over $200,000 across the 3 years. So we're hopeful that participating nonprofits will see this truly as a great value. And one other exciting thing I did want to mention, as we were talking about the value of this, we recognize that it's still a sizable investment. And we thought, well, what if we were able to help give some of that back? And when we think about what the payback of this program is ultimately that your organization is growing and developing as you had hoped. And so if, as we go through the program, organizations that achieve their annual goals, a portion of their annual fee will be returned to them. So we hope that that will help soften the burden and the cost of this program. Don't mind the next slide. I did want to give an example of what we mean by using hours, because first of all, we're not expecting the organization to spend up to 500 hours in the Catalyst pathway. What it means is you can tap up to 500 hours of professional consultant experience. So here's an example of what a development plan might look like for a nonprofit that's in a Catalyst pathway. This organization will have taken an assessment, which Jen will talk a little bit about later, that identifies that there's some areas that they can strengthen in their governance, in their financial and technology systems, how they evaluate their programs, their fundraising, and some HR processes. And so in addition to the workshops and peer learning, they have up to 500 hours of operational support that they can tap to help develop and strengthen their organization. And so there's different things that they may do in the first year, and then in the second year they build on it, and then the third year. So this is definitely just an example, but you can see how quickly when you are tapping an accounting service, for example, to help build your internal accounting systems, that can really consume a lot of hours. So we wanted to make sure that there was ample time that you can have to help strengthen your organization. The other pathway is the booster pathway. And as I mentioned, we anticipate that organizations here may not need as much of the back office type technical assistance support. And so we assumed consumption of fewer hours, and therefore the fee is also a little bit lower. Over the course of 3 years, the value of the services that we believe the booster pathway nonprofits would incur would be almost $130,000 worth of services. So again, similar to the Catalyst, there would be an opportunity to get a portion of the fee back as the nonprofit achieves their annual goals. So to give you an example of how a booster might consume those hours is that they take an assessment. We do this at the beginning of the program and identify some areas that they may need some help in. But here they might already have, for example, QuickBooks they already have QuickBooks, but they may not necessarily know the complete functionality. They may not be familiar with cash flow, projection, methodologies. And so they would tap perhaps an expert who can walk them through that. And more importantly, not just learn how to do it, but how do you integrate it into your everyday operations? How do you present financials to your board? And then how do we teach the board to know what kinds of questions to ask when it comes from financial health? Those are all examples of how a nonprofit in the booster could potentially tap resources to help strengthen their organization. So Jen, why don't you take it away and talk about the application process?
Thank you so much, Sheila. All right, I'm back. Hi, everyone. So let's apply. Now that you've learned about the Catalyst and the booster, let's apply to the Accelerator program. So the application process and assessment begins on August 15th. So the application will be open from the 15th until October 1st. Then we will be doing interviews with all qualified applicants. So if you applied, you will be getting an interview. between the weeks of August 28th and October 13th. By October 23rd, we will be having a panel ranking, which is a group of community members, because we want truly your community to determine which organizations get into the nonprofit, the accelerator cohort 1. And then all applicants will find out by October 27th of their acceptance. From the November 1st through the end of the year, the cohort 1 nonprofits will go through a commitment and development plan. And then finally, January 24, the cohort 1 orientation kickoff. So that's the timeline. All right, so here are some of our details. We tried to make this as easy as possible. So August 15th, the online application opens. The pre-application, first you'll go onto our website and you'll fill out a pre-application. We really were conscientious of how much time we wanted. You guys are busy. We don't want you to spend 4 hours filling out an application. So the first part of our process, 10 questions. You'll go on our websites. There will be a code at the end. Fill out the 10 questions. And then if you meet all those qualifications, you will be sent the full application, which consists of 18 questions, and the Nonprofit Accelerator Assessment, which consists of 36. So we're going to break down each of these parts in the next slide. So we mentioned that the application, the pre-application and the application as a whole, relatively easy. We also wanted to make sure that you had everything available to you at the start, so you were prepared to send in your application. So this is and we're building an executive director cohort. So it is really important to have an idea of you as an executive director. So please, we ask for your resume or CV. This is a 3-year commitment. So we do want to ensure that your board is committed and are applying to the accelerator program. There's a template available on our website. We also are asking for a list of board members, which includes their positions, their terms, and organizational affiliations. We want to ensure that your community is supporting you. So however you want to have your community show your support, whether it's written or digital endorsements of your organization's impact, send along a reference, a partner, funder, or beneficiary. And then finally, the completed Nonprofit Accelerator assessments. So make sure you have those 5 things with you when you are ready to fill out your application. But don't worry. You can always save the application and come back. You are not tied to one setting. So what is the Nonprofit Accelerator Assessment? It's an assessment that consists of 36 questions, as I mentioned. It has a color-coded scale. It's from 0 to 4, where it evaluates the 6 areas of organizational operations: your operational health and sustainability, your governance, your leadership, financial health and sustainability, your diversity, equity, and inclusion, and finally technology. So you'll do a self-assessment. You'll download the Excel file, you'll complete it, save it on your computer, and then attach it to the application. We've left a space for you. We'll remind you, don't worry. And then finally, hang on one second. Please know, organizations will not be disqualified if you are unable to answer a question. One of the reasons that you are applying to our program most likely is because you need some help in these areas. So don't feel bad. We're just here. We want just fill this out and be honest, and we're here for you. So next part is the organizational interviews with DANA team members. They will be scheduled on a rolling basis from August 28th through the 13th. It'll be an opportunity for us, the DANA team members, to meet with your executive director, and then a separate interview with the board chair. Each of these interviews will be 1 hour. And this is an opportunity for us to get to know and learn more about your organization's strengths and weaknesses. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, having the community supports and having the voice of the community as part of this process is incredibly important to us. We have invited a panel of organizational community leaders to be part of our application process. We're going to be redacting all of the application information and providing the notes of our interviews. And during the week of October 23rd, the final selection will be made by the community leaders. And then we will be reaching out to each of the nonprofits as of October 27th of their status. What does this look like? Decision process. So after the interview, answers are scored. We will have a rubric that the selection committee will be working off of, and they'll review the entire application, and then they'll make a final decision. It'll lead to an accepted or not accepted. If you're accepted, you get a call from us. Welcome, you are part of cohort 1. Do you want to go on this journey with us? If that's a yes, organizations are going to, upon acceptance, you will be paying a $1,000 non-refundable deposit. But that's to help you get to that next, to complete the assessments, the CPATs, and the other pieces to get you into the cohort. And if you're not accepted, you'll be receiving a personalized call from us, just to talk about next steps. All right, welcome cohort 1. You have made it here. What does this look like? So cohort 1, you're going to find out on October 27th that you are joining us. If we're inviting you to join us. Once you pay your deposits from November 1st through December 31st, you will complete a CCAT assessment. This is an online assessment that will determine your organizational pathway. Individualized organizational development plans will be developed with the organization based off of your organization pathway that is determined. We're going to talk to you about your goals, your hopes, your dreams. And then once we identify the booster catalyst pathway, you'll sign an MOU, we'll develop a payment plan, and you're in. And what happens next? Orientation kickoff, January 24th. We will be deciding, we have left the dates open because really, honestly, we want to meet the organizations, each of the organizations where they're at. So at the beginning, once we identify our first cohort, we'll be reaching out to you and say, hey, what's a good day in January for us all to get together? And that's really how we're going to be developing most of our timelines. This is a partnership and we're all in this together. Also, Sheila and I said a lot to you today. Sheila's been talking about Accelerator for 2 years now, Sheila. And this is brand new to everyone out there. So if you need help pitching this to your board, give us a call. Scan this, it'll take you to my Calendarly, and we'll get you in touch with a DANA member to meet with your board. And then finally, if you made it this far, you should apply. Welcome. Just as a reminder, the DANA Nonprofit Accelerator Program empowers all nonprofits to scale their impact. You have continuous technical assistance, coaching, and consulting. There's going to be hopefully strengthened leadership and organizational capacity, and then increased community collaboration and partnerships. And ultimately, you have the background and experience of DANA team and the other cohort members as well. This is a community, it's a learning community where we're growing together. So if you scan that link, you can actually apply now. It'll take you to our application page. Finally, meet the Accelerator team. You will be working with actually a lot of the DANA team members, but these are the go-tos from the very beginning. So you have Sheila, who is the president and CEO. You have me, the Accelerator navigator, and finally Nicole Peters, who is our manager, nonprofit support person. Over time, we'll be introducing our consultants and other team members, but here's your core group, your go-to. And if you have any questions, give us a call, shoot me an email. We're here for you.